They didn't warn me there would be so many people. So I'm a little nervous. Thank you, Dr. Morero, for your kind words. For anybody who gets to spend a little bit of time with me, it doesn't really take them long to realize that I'm very, very passionate about a couple of things. My family, first of all. I've been married for almost 20 years. I have a 15-year-old and 11-year-old sons, and family comes first for me. Second is probably my students. I often refer to them like they're my own children. I stay in touch with them after they graduate. I continue to form the relationship with them in the classroom, and I pattern myself after a lot of the great professors that I have here at West Georgia. Third is probably college football. I'm very, very passionate about college football. I attend all of West Georgia's games. I record everything on television, and I bring it into the classroom. And then last but not least is the University of West Georgia. It's my home. I do live in Cedartown, a little bit up the road, but I spend a lot of time in Carrollton. And if my husband didn't work in Rome, we would live in Carrollton. But we split the difference, and I love West Georgia. I love everything about it. I love the fact that I graduated from here, and I love to be a part of this community. I first began donating to the UWG Foundation as a student in my senior year, and I'm often asked why I give West, why I continue to give back to the university. Despite the faculty raise freezes and things like that, I have always given back consistently every year. And the reason I give back is very simple. Do we have the slide from earlier? Okay. I brought this to show you where I came from, and I think it's an important part of the story to understand why it's important for me to give to the University of West Georgia. As Dr. Morero said, I was born in South Korea, in Daegu, South Korea. But I was abandoned when I was a couple of days, couple of weeks old. The information isn't really isn't available to me. I was placed in a warming bin. It's a place where people can drop off children that they don't want so that they're not outside under the elements. And so I was dropped off at like a police station or a fire station, that sort of thing. I lived in Korea for the first 10 months of my life, and I was shuffled around through the social services system in various orphanages and foster homes in and around Daegu and Seoul, South Korea. I hit kind of the life lottery and was adopted and got to come to the United States. And I guess I wanted to point out that one of the foster homes that I was in was the metal shack that's pictured here. If you look closely at the picture, you can see lots of animals running in and out. It's made out of just tin placed together. And the reason why I have this picture is because I was one of the sponsored children, the children that you give like your pocket change to so that they can have a decent life. And so one of my sponsors actually came to Korea and visited me and sent me these pictures later when she found out I was adopted. So I have a couple of pictures of like a foster mother, of the orphanage that I was in that later burned down, and then this picture of one of my foster homes. Anyway, I was extremely lucky. I was adopted, and my father was a minister, and my mom was a school teacher. So any of you who have been in that line of work know that we were very poor. I didn't realize how poor we were until later as an adult, and I realized, that people actually go to the dentist twice a year, or they see a doctor on a regular basis, or they don't get all their clothes as hand-me-down clothes or make them. My mom made me my own Cabbage Patch doll, those sorts of things. I didn't realize that, because I had a good life, but there was just never any money. And when it came time to go to college, I was accepted at Auburn University in their pre-med program, and my parents said, we don't have anything for you to go to school. And so I quickly had to change plans and realized that that wasn't really an option. I went to the local school up in Chattanooga where I lived at the time. And I worked 3 jobs and I attended school full time. And And I cold called for Olin Mills. That was one of my jobs. So if you want an 8 by 10, you can talk to me later. I worked at McDonald's, and I also worked in the financial aid office at UTC. So those were my 3 jobs while I was going to school. And I found that it's really hard to balance that. Even though my grades didn't really suffer, it was just very stressful, and you just couldn't make ends meet. And again, like I said, my parents weren't able to help me out with anything. So like most kids my age, I thought that there must be a better way, and so that I would get married and it would magically work out. So I left school, I got married. I thought I would kind of go to school and work at the same time. That really didn't happen. And eventually I realized I was about 10 years out from my high school graduation, getting ready to go to my class reunion. And there's a little blank on the class reunion page that says, "Where did you graduate from college?" I mean, 10 years, pretty much everybody should have been to that point. And it was kind of a wake-up call for me, because I realized that I hadn't had a chance to do all the things that I really wanted to do. I was married, I had a house payment, I had 2 children, and I had no college degree. And I also realized that for my children, who at the time when I came back to West Georgia were, I had a newborn baby and a 3.5-year-old. And I realized that as they would come to me and say, "Mommy, I want to be a train engineer. Mommy, I want to be a shark scientist. I want to be a doctor," you know, all these things that kids, the stages that kids go through, I realized that I couldn't really tell them how to get from point A to point B because I hadn't reached my own dreams yet. And I also realized very early on that kids don't do what you tell them to do. So you can tell them they can be anything they want to be. You can tell them that if they just stay in school and work hard, that everything will come to them, you know, kind of the U.S., the dream, right? But I really didn't feel like that was true in my own life. And so I realized that instead of telling them, maybe I should show them. And I could show them that you could make it happen. So I came back to school. It's interesting to me that that E-Corps is such a big part of West Georgia now. I came back to school because of E-Corps. At the time, like I said, I had 2 small children. I still lived in Cedartown, which the highway wasn't finished yet, where they opened up the road. So it was a good, solid hour or more drive. And I just couldn't make it work to come to school here. This was our closest 4-year university. But there was this new program called E-Corps that one of my friends told me about. And so I came back here to West Georgia and I took all my programs online. One of my first E-Corps professors was Dr. Kahn. He taught me environmental science. I took science, I took history, I took public speaking, I took all of my chemistry sequence with labs all online through E-Corps. And so I spent my first 2 years at West Georgia really through the E-Corps program, which was fairly new at the time. Then I came actually physically here on campus. I got to have some of those same teachers in the classroom, which was fantastic. And they were a big part of my ability to be successful. As he said earlier, I did graduate from here and from the Honors College. I do have a Bachelor of Science in Economics, double minors in Chemistry and Biology. It was a hard path, but it was well worth it, and I was able to do a lot of undergraduate research and have a lot of opportunities here that I would have not had at any other school. When I continued on to Georgia State, I continued to be successful in my program, and then when I came back here to the University of West Georgia, I'm able to continue with my research. I focus on teaching students how to love economics by using a lot of popular media, social media, music and the arts to help teach them a subject that some people think is boring, but I think is fantastic. And I'm able to be involved with my students through their clubs and as a faculty advisor and so on. But the key point I want to bring to you here is that there's a reason why West Georgia is special to me. And the reason is that I went to a lot of different schools and I kept having to stop because of financial reasons. When I came to West Georgia, the same thing happened. It started off great. There was money, there were loans, we made ends meet, and we were able to do it. And in my junior year, there came a point where I was going to have to leave school again. And I thought, this can't be happening to me. But I went and talked with some of my professors, and they said, let's see if we can't find some way to make it work for you. And they went and found some scholarship money for me. So I received 2 scholarships from here. And it made the difference between continuing to be a college dropout or finishing my degree. And for that, there's no words I can tell you to just say how thankful I am, because it just made all the difference in the world for me. I brought the pictures here because I think it's important for you to see that you can take somebody from poverty and you can turn them into a success. So in the picture that was on the bottom, it's of me and one of my professors here at West Georgia when I was graduating. And the picture on your right is a picture of myself and one of my students who I taught in my first semester here, and him graduating, continuing on with his degree. And so I hope you see kind of the full circle, that if you invest in somebody who, you didn't know me, you didn't know this is where your dollars were going, but hopefully you see that I'm then able to go on and pay it forward to other people. I teach about 400 to 500 students a year in an academic year, and so I'm able to take your investment in me and pass it on to them. As the Center for Economic Education Director, I will be training K-12 teachers in economics for the surrounding community, and so I'm going to be able to take what I do in the classroom and give these tools to the people who are teaching your children and grandchildren. So in economics, we have a term that's known as the multiplier effect. It means that you make a little small change, like tossing a pebble into a pond, and the ripples go out and actually have a much larger effect than originally intended. So I hope that you see me or your investment in me as doing the same thing. You give $1 here, $100 here, or $100,000, and that it can have this huge and expansive effect, not just on the students, but on their families, and on the teachers and the community at large. So again, I just want to say thank you for believing in me when honestly I didn't believe in myself, and for giving me the opportunity to achieve my dreams and then to be able to give back to West Georgia and help other people achieve their dreams. Our next generation of students is Connor. Connor's a senior who is set to graduate with a triple major in management, marketing, and international business. While he works on his studies, he also serves the UWG community as a Richards College of Business student ambassador and also as an international student mentor. And similar to my own story, he also struggled financially when he was faced with paying for his education, but your assistance to him has opened up a lot of new frontiers. And so welcome Connor to share his story with you. Thank you.